Good morning. It's another morning. It's Friday, the 9th of January 2026. I was speaking to a client yesterday and we ended up talking about behavior change and how you just change habits that you've been used to for so long that they've become like just a must for you. They really don't mean much, but they're just part of you. For example, I go to church on Wednesday night, Sunday night. And sometimes we eat out. Sometimes we have a meal at church. Sometimes we don't need to eat when we come back, basically. Or we had dinner before we went to church. Especially Wednesdays. Sundays, a little bit, maybe not. But mostly Wednesdays, you have dinner before we go to church. But there's just this habit that we gathered from some place. When you come home from church Wednesday night, you want to either drink milk or you want to eat whatever snacks, you want to eat food. And it's just engraved in us. You already had dinner. Probably you're not even hungry. But it's just something that you find yourself doing. Now, if you're trying to be disciplined with your eating, if you're trying to be more accountable, if you're trying to eat within some limits, just anyhow eating is going to be a challenge for your goals. So that's an example of a habit that I would use that really doesn't mean much. It's affecting your goals. It may not be affecting depending on what you eat that time. But if it is, or late night snacking, you come from work, you work in the evening shift or you work late night, and you come home. And just because you've been out and you come home, your brain is said to, you need to go to the fridge, you need to eat something. You're not hungry, you really don't even need the food at that point. Maybe you just ate maybe 2 hours ago or something. It is something that you're just used to doing because it happens. So how do we change those habits? Let's talk a little bit about accountability, fellowship. I have this thing I call the BFF method framework. That is, for you to get to your goals, you need to address your belief system around food. You need to address your food itself, which includes just how you eat, what you eat, with whom you eat, your sleep hygiene, your movement or exercise, and stress management. You also need to address a purpose around the food. You can put it in mindset, wherever you want to put it. But there's the third factor into that equation that is talking about accountability, and it's talking about community and fellowship. Hence the BFF, belief system, food system, and fellowship. So when we are talking about behavior change, if you're one of those people who it takes a lot of extrinsic power to help you change behaviors and habits, you're not intrinsically sometimes very motivated, or you are motivated, but it takes a climb basically to help you move to the direction that you want to move. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us do. So when you're trying to change those habits, you have to start being like a project manager, basically. In project management, we talk about situational analysis. Before you can even ever begin a project, you're talking about situational analysis. It's been a bit since I dug into project management. The lingo and the terminology might have changed by now. But situational analysis is basically where you're examining what is this project going to look like? What's my hypothesis? What's the objectives? What are the goals? What are the resources? What are the communities that I'm dealing with? And what is the best way to approach them? Because if you don't dig into these things before you begin the project, you're likely to get in the middle of the project and find out very quickly that you are not prepared. So when you're doing behavior change, you have to do kind of a situational analysis. I call it peeling the onion layers. You need to get to the root cause of why that habit began in the first place. So you're asking yourself, when did I start eating just because I'm getting home? I came from church Wednesday night and I'm not hungry. I really don't need the food, but it's just a habit that I do. When did that begin? How did that come about? Because before you can face a fall, before you can face a challenge, you need to know what are the roots of this. Because that way you can nip it out from the roots and not from the top. There are two ways that you will be able to find. If it's a behavior that is really entrenched in maybe abuse, or that is entrenched in stress response, that is just leading, or it's showing signs of trauma, probably you might need professional help from a spiritual counselor, or whatever you get your counseling, or whatever that would look like. So you want to be able to approach it like that. If it is just regular bottlenecks or challenges that do not reflect something that really it needs professional help, then you use yourself and you use the networks around you, your family, your friends, your community. We do have a faith community that we help each other to get our goals in terms of nutrition and weight loss and health. And if you're on it, you're listening to this on it, then that's where you are. So you have to be able to diagnose, is it something that I can really deal on a lower level, or is it something that needs a deeper professional help? Above it all, you might want to consider God too, because God understands you. He understands where all these things come in. But you have to figure out all these things and how you're going to attack this thing. And you have to weigh what I call assigning value. Assigning value determines the pain effect. What is assigning value? Assigning value is where the cost of either leaving something or continuing something, is it something that you want to go without? Is it something that you want to be able to continue? Because the value of, for example, I am comfortable going to church 3 times a week. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, sometimes Saturday night. Sunday probably is almost an entire day of church, because the assigned value of me being in church and me doing the things that I do on those days is more than me staying at home and sleeping, for instance. So the why of something, so for you to ditch a behavior, you have to assign it value. Remember the situational analysis. You have to assign it value, because if the value of that thing is costly for you and it's causing pain, your brain doesn't want to do it. So you have to, because the brain is used to eating food after late night, and it associates it with pleasure, but objectively it's causing you pain. You have to start showing your brain that there's a pain attached to the activity that it's doing. You have to assign value that causes pain, because the brain doesn't want to stay around pain. It's gonna go far, far, far away from the pain that it's experiencing. So you want to be able to assign value, and that is what basically we start talking about. Why are you trying to change this behavior? What is at stake? What is the value at stake? So it means the thing that is at stake, you're not achieving your weight loss goals in 2026, is more costly for you than just continuing a habit of late night snacking that is really meaningless and doesn't really do much for you other than cause you harm. So you have to start digging that, evaluating the root cause, assign value that has a pain model in it. So those things, when you combine them, then you start getting tired of it, because until you can really, really see this thing is really causing me harm and it's causing me pain, and the value that I'm assigning to it is very minimal as to the benefits that I'm going to get if I ditch this thing out, then your brain start getting in sync and start building the pathways of changing that habit. Community is good at that point, and especially, like I said, if you're not very intrinsically wired to just do a lot of changes, and especially if it's a long-term habit. There are people who really can change their behavior. They think of something, it doesn't work for me, I'm just going to change it, and they sustain it. I don't think that's the majority of us, and if it is, maybe I'm the only one who sometimes I need very much external help from friends or just from associating that pain to be able to start habit changes and things like that. So you have to assign value that has a pain model in it, and then keep at it, consistency, talk. But again, then we go back to you have to remember, as you do the situation analysis, you have to remember to take away the emotion of guilt and shame. And sometimes when we are talking to ourselves, my dad used to call it calling your mind a meeting. When you're calling yourself a meeting and you're bringing your mind to discuss an issue, we tend to be very not very objective when we are speaking to ourselves. Sometimes it might help to speak to yourself as a third party, because when you're speaking to somebody else, we are trained, our culture trains us to be more gentle, to be more objective when we are addressing other people than when we are addressing ourselves or people from our immediate family, which is not something good, which needs to change. But in the meantime, as we try to change it, you might want to address yourself and put yourself in a meeting literally and address yourself objectively without attaching the shame and guilt of the things that you're trying to change, because when that happens, it just creates another stress response that is not going to help you at the end of the day. So behavior change, trying to get to the habits that you want to change and habits that you want to create, you have to, again, just summary of it, you have to do a situational analysis, examine the root causes, examine the nature of it, examine the things that are around it and how you can handle it best, whether professionally or just with local networks that you have. And then 2, start assigning value. Assign value that has a paying effect into it, because the higher value that you're assigning to something, it means that it has less pain. The less pain, the more pain, it means the value at the end of the day is low. So you want to be able to make sure that the brain understands this thing long term, the pain is going to be so great, so the value of it right now is very low. So what is at stake is of much benefits long term than what I'm doing right now. So you want to ditch that and avoid getting yourself into trouble, which the trouble here would be not getting to your weight loss goals. Anyway, thank you so much. This is your morning cup of a dose of, I don't know what you want to call it, and see you. Thank you. Have a blessed day.